What's going on, traders? Just want to give you guys a quick update on my thoughts when it comes to the overall market. So we're just going to get straight into it. So first things first, in the Discord, we jumped into SPY 650 strike puts for December 19th at 6.42. Ended up taking profit at 7.38. And then we closed out our runners this morning at around 9:50 Eastern time. So congratulations, Discord members, on that. We also jumped into Microsoft 515 strike calls for November 28th at 6.35. Ended up taking profit at 6.50. Nothing too crazy here. I didn't like what I was seeing when it comes to the triple Q, SPY, and also the VIX. We'll go over the VIX in a bit. And so ultimately I ended up taking profit early on this play, and good thing we did, because like maybe 10, 15 minutes later, the market ended up dumping back towards the downside. And then heading into close, we jumped into Tesla 400 strike puts for November 21st at 7.30, take profit at 7.95, and close runners at 8.00. So if you want access to Discord link will be in the description below. So let's go over my thoughts when it comes to the overall market. So we're going to look at the futures real quick, because the futures is showing a very interesting pattern here. So right now we're looking at the NASDAQ for our time frame. And as you guys can see, we are looking at a symmetrical triangle. And right now we're trading at the bottom of this symmetrical triangle. And so far we're attempting to bounce here, right? You have a bounce here, you have a bounce here, you have a bounce back here as well. And so far you're wicking off this area. So bulls are trying to step in here. And what we want to see when it comes to the NASDAQ is obviously a continuation towards the upside. But not only that, a break and retest of 24,980. If we can break and retest 24,980, then it goes without saying we're heading towards 25K psych level. And then from there, we want to see a move towards 25,110. All right, 25,110, 25,111 more or less. And then ultimately, for me to be full blown bullish or say, hey, this is over with, the crash is done, the correction is done, I want to see the NASDAQ reclaim 25,400 and get above the 21 MA. So we want to see a break, retest, and then from there, another break and retest above 25,500 psych level. And then from there, I think we're in the clear, and we can start talking about all-time highs or even previous highs all over again. So that's what we're looking at for the NASDAQ in regards to upside. Now, when we're talking about downside here, I will say that I'm not a fan of these wicks down here, right? And you're probably like, well, why would you think that? They're bullish wicks. Anytime you have too many wicks that's like huge or anything like that, I feel like I have to say pause there. But anytime you have big wicks towards the downside here, I'm so immature. But anytime you have these wicks towards the downside down here, right, eventually you need to clear this area out. And I'll show you guys an example of this that I told Discord members about. In order for us to really continue back towards the upside, we really want to see this area get cleared out. Now, maybe we continue towards the upside or we bounce towards the upside and clear this out later, but I'm not a fan of this, right? I'm really not a fan of this. And if we do just so happen to break down here, then I'll be looking at a move towards 24,400, right where these guys are, right here. So right here, you got to bounce here. You go further back, you got to bounce here, you got to bounce here. So within this range, if we manage to head down here, I would say that the bottom would be in somewhere down here. Now, if we bounce back towards the upside and we just ignore this, I would say that's fine, I guess. But again, I'm just not a fan of these wicks being left open down here. There's a lot of imbalances down here, I should say. So that's what I'm looking at for the NASDAQ. Just want to be careful here. I'll make sense of this once we start going further into the video. But next, we're going to look at the ES. So ES, you're essentially looking at the same thing, right? You have this symmetrical triangle on the 4-hour time frame, and you wicked off the bottom of the supply and demand zone at around 6650, and so far bulls are stepping in. But again, you just want to see that continuation towards the upside, and you really want to see us break and hold above 6710. If we manage to break and hold above 6710, then chances are we're heading towards 6740, 6750 all over again. So want to see a break, retest, and then you have a lot of turbulence in this area, so I imagine you're going to need news to really break through here. So you want to see a break and retest all over again above 6760, and then you're heading towards the 21 MA at around 6790, 6800. Now, in regards to downside, like I said before, anytime you leave wicks open like this, like way too many wicks towards the downside open like this, there's times where you need to revisit this area, and I like to call this imbalances. You have to clear these imbalances out at some point in time. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but right now I'm just not a fan of all this down here. The average trader will look at this and be like, oh, well, bulls are stepping in, bulls are showing strength. That's great and all, but again, wicks are called shadows for a reason, right? Because at some point in time, you do revisit those areas. We'll see. Okay, we will see. But for now, pay attention to the levels. Pay attention to the symmetrical triangle. If we manage to get some type of decent momentum from this area down here, at the bottom of the symmetrical triangle down here, then you want to pay attention to those levels. In order for me to be really bullish in regards to the ES, and obviously you want to correlate this with the NASDAQ, I want to see us break and retest 68.1150, 68.1150 more or less, and then from there we're heading towards 68.50, and then you want to see a break out of the symmetrical triangle for a continuation towards previous highs, if not all-time highs. So let's talk about the triple Qs, right? So triple Qs, not looking great, not looking bad either. I mean, obviously today you did see a dip towards the downside. You can consider that bad. It's all about perspective at this point. But right now we are below the 21 MA. And something I pointed out in the Discord is that the reason why I jumped out of those Microsoft calls so early, which was a good thing, is because of this candle right here on the triple Qs. And we were up here, right? When we saw this dip down here and we pumped back towards the upside, let's actually go to a smaller time. Let's actually just clear this out for you guys. All right. So this candle right here, right? When I jumped into Microsoft calls, we were pretty much right here on the triple Qs. And one thing I pointed out is that I am not a fan right here. This 4-hour candle on the Qs is annoying. Most likely needs news to break through this, right? So you see right here, this is what I was talking about. Now, when we go back to the triple Qs, when we were trading that Microsoft play towards the upside, we were right here. And in my head, I'm like, I don't see a world where we break through this without news, right? And the major news that we're getting isn't until Wednesday, right? We have FOMC minutes and then we have Nvidia earnings. So we're not really getting anything. I wasn't expecting anything crazy today. So this candle right here just screamed bearish. I mean, you got a lot of bears here, a lot of bears up here. And so this screamed bearish because you're just rejecting off the 21 MA. And it's a good thing we got out of that Microsoft play because we saw a continuation back towards the downside, or a rejection back towards the downside, I should say. Not only that, but you're just creating lower highs, right? So you have a high here, lower high here, lower high here, lower high here. So it's really tough staying into calls, right? It's really tough staying in calls when you just have lower highs forming. You don't have quite have that lower low yet, but if you manage to break below 597 on the triple Qs, that will be the start of your lower low. So let's bring back the levels here. So when we're looking at the triple Qs, your key level is 599.6 and then 503. We saw a rejection off both of these levels. 606.6, you'll just say 607 just to be safe. 610.9, you'll just say 611, and then 613, 615 are your key levels. What we want to see in order for us to be really bullish here is a break and retest of 615 above the 21 MA. So break, retest, and then from there 617, 622, 627, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that if we ever get to that point. We'll most likely get to that point, but you guys get the point. All right, so right now we're just pretty much trading in the middle of Narnia. We got a lot of structure towards the upside, we got a lot of structure towards the downside, and these guys will really need to hold. If we give up 597, that's the start of something very bad, guys, because you guys see here a lot of structure here, a lot of bullish structure here. I mean, you go further back, you got a lot of bullish structure back here, bullish structure here. So you really need these guys to hold if you're looking to be bullish. They give it up at 597, you're heading towards 595, psych level 592, and then lowest I'm looking at least for now, or at least for the short to intermediate term, is 590. So we really want to see bulls step in order for us to be talking about all-time highs, previous highs all over again. Everyone's saying the market rally is over, guys. We're in November. Like the market rally is still possible here. So we got plenty of time, and it's very much possible that we just see a bounce back towards the upside. Nvidia earnings may save the day. We don't know. But regardless, it's too early to start saying that, hey, the market's done, the market's cooked, all that fun stuff. Just be patient, okay? At some point, I mean, we rallied all year, guys, all year, like almost nonstop. At some point, you had to expect some type of pullback, some real pullback. So just be patient when it comes to the market rally. A lot of you are talking about Santa Claus rally. Santa Claus rally doesn't happen, usually historically doesn't happen until January. Why is it called a Santa rally? I don't know, but it usually doesn't happen until January. But that's your little educational piece right there. And so we talked about the triple Qs. I believe we went over the SPY. Did we go over the SPY? Regardless, your key levels for the SPY is 662. You measure break and hold below 662. You're headed towards 660, and then from there it gets really bad. All right, it gets really bad. You get below 660. All right, from there you're pretty liquid all the way to 650. So you definitely want to see the SPY hold at 660. You want to see these guys hold. You want to see these guys hold, and I mean you really want to see these guys hold because the fact that we ended up creating a higher low and we might fail, that's bad. So we closed below 666.95. We'll just say 667. If we can get above 667, maybe tomorrow at open, then we can make an illiquid move back towards the 670s. Your key levels towards the upside 669.90, just say 670, 673, 674.6, 675, right where your 21 MA is. Then from there 676.5, 677.5. So you got a lot to deal with. It's very possible that we form a double bottom here. We'll have to wait and see. It's important not to jump the gun. But like I said in the Discord pre-market video, in order for me to be bullish with the SPY, right, and this correlates with everything else, I really want to see the SPY get above 677.50, and then you're clear to go. You're clear to go all the way to 682, 684 more or less. And then if we're talking about previous highs, all-time highs, 685 is what you want to see us get above, and then from there you're basically talking about a potential move towards the 700. So you got to be patient. Okay, you just got to be patient right now. Me personally, I think it's not safe to really swing anything for the short term. Maybe long term, right? Maybe if you're talking about December contracts, January contracts, but for the short term, I mean, even with Tesla, right? I believe Tesla has the potential to see more downside, but hey, we're taking profit. We see green, we take green around here. All right. And I wanted to be greedy with my runners, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take profit with Tesla. And it's a good thing we did because as soon as we took profit, like 5 minutes later, Tesla pumped towards the upside, back towards the upside from like 404 all the way back to like 409, 411 range. So, yeah, good thing we did. So, this environment, you definitely need to take profit. You're going to do what you want at the end of the day, but hey, I recommend as long as we're trading within this range, guys, yeah, don't want to be swinging calls, okay, until you get more confirmation for upside. And I do believe that Nvidia could be the, I guess, Batman signal to really save the day for the overall market. So that's what we're looking at for the SPY and triple Qs. The VIX, I'm not going to go too deep into the VIX, but one thing I did point out in the Discord, right? So I pointed this out earlier, right before the dump. It was pretty crazy, the timing of it. So where is it? So the timing of it was pretty crazy. So VIX bounced off support, still looks set for 23, if not higher. And then you go back further, be careful. VIX is showing a projected move to 23. Bot alerted 1119, 25 strike calls, 20.1 being support, right? And so you see here, the VIX was at 21.12 when I alerted this, right? So I was pretty much letting Discord members know that the VIX has a projected move towards 23, and crazy enough, we hit 23. We hit 23.4. So from there, we jumped into Tesla puts. Probably should have jumped into triple Q puts, but it is what it is, or SPY puts. But it is what it is. You can't catch every move. But yeah, VIX right now, you're looking like you're forming some type of cup and handle here. Okay, the handle is not clean, in my opinion, but it's you're showing a bullish structure here. So be careful with the VIX. I really don't have much for it right now, but it's very much possible that you can head much higher and possibly tap this area up here at around the $30 mark. So that's what I'm looking at for the VIX. So let's get into some stocks real quick. So first things first, I want to talk about Nvidia because right now, despite the drop that we saw across the board when it comes to the SPY and triple Qs, the futures, all that fun stuff, Nvidia is still holding its key level. It's still holding 184. So that is a very, very good sign, right? And obviously Nvidia has earnings coming up, so maybe bulls are trying to hold it up until then. But as long as Nvidia holds 184, I would say be neutral to bullish. It's not me personally. I don't think it's a good time to be bearish on Nvidia just yet. And it's not me saying trade Nvidia earnings or anything like that. Me personally, I don't think it's safe to trade Nvidia earnings because majority of the time, if not more than 60% of the time, it does not make its implied move. And if it doesn't make its implied move, chances are you're going to get IV crushed, especially for a lot of retail traders because most retail traders always trade short expiration dates. They don't trade long dated contracts, right? So you're probably like, oh, Nvidia is going to go to 230. Let me do, 200 strike calls for November 21st, which is this Friday. And then Nvidia pumps a little bit, maybe towards 195 or something, but your contracts are still in hell, right? You still didn't see profit because you're trying to be greedy, you're trying to get rich overnight, and then you get cooked, right? Because you aren't aware of a thing called theta and IV crush. But same thing, right? When we're talking about Nvidia, I don't recommend trading earnings for this week. Definitely want to add some dated contracts on that play if you are looking to play earnings. Me personally, I'm going to stay away from this thing because it's always overhyped. Now, me personally, I do believe that Nvidia is going to beat earnings. I think that goes without saying. I don't see a world where they don't beat earnings. It's just going to be about their guidance. What we want to see is, are they going to continue to spend on capex? And that's basically what I believe investors are going to pay attention to. And if they do continue spending on capex, if not more spending on capex, then other semiconductors, not semiconductors, but other Mag 7 stocks will see this as competition and they'll want to start spending all over again. So Nvidia is basically going to be the signal for the overall market on whether everything is okay or not in regards to AI and all that fun stuff. So we'll see. But for now, Nvidia, your key levels. Sorry, I went on a little rant there, but 187.5, 189.5, 192, 192.7, and then you really got to get above this area right here at around 197. You get above 197, then the doors are open towards 200. From there, you're looking at 200, 199, sorry, 199, 200, and then highest I'm looking at is this gap fill at 206, right? I still have a price target of 230 when it comes to Nvidia. Whether it happens for earnings, I can't say for sure, but you definitely want to pay attention to this thing as long as it stays above 184. If it manages to get below 184, then you're heading towards 180, goes without saying, 178, and then from there, well, 178.5, and then from there, you're looking at 176 to hold. All right, you get below 176, we'll say 175 psych level, then it gets pretty dangerous towards the downside. You can start looking at moves as low as the 150s. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia Meta. All right, Meta. So Meta is holding 600. It's trying to hold 600. You really want to see this thing hold 600. You got a lot of opportunity towards the upside here, but you really want to see Meta hold 600. If Meta can stay above 600, I would say be neutral. Don't be overly bullish just yet because there's a lot of turbulence here, guys. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. You got a lot going on here. So if anything, I guess worst case scenario, right? You dump towards the downside, and then I guess the lack of better wording, intermediate case scenario is that you just trade in this range between 600 and 617, and then best case scenario is obviously you break towards the upside. But in order for Meta to really take off, and I mean really take off, we need Meta to get above 635. All right, if Meta can get above 635, you open the doors towards 650s, if not higher. So Meta pretty overextended on the daily time frame, pretty oversold on the daily time frame. I do imagine at some point in time bulls are going to want to step in, and despite the drop, the fact that Meta is still holding 600 could be a potential good sign here. You are very illiquid all the way to the 750s. If you're going to trade Meta towards the upside, right, I would do dated contracts maybe sometime next year. That's just me. Do what you want. But I do not want to trade Meta for the short term. And when I say short term, I mean this week, next week. I'm not looking at that. So that's what I have for Meta. Your levels, there's just a lot of levels, guys. There's a lot of turbulence towards the upside, but Meta is pretty volatile. So 618.5, 622.5, 627, 634. 632, 634, and then from there you're looking at 638, 640, and then from there you're very liquid back towards the upside once you get above that 643 level, and then you're looking at a move basically towards possibly as high as 680. So we'll see with Meta. There's just a lot going on here. Microsoft, so I was really liking the setup on Microsoft, and it still has potential, but the fact that it's just trading against the 21 MA was another reason why I just could not be convicted in this play as well. But you're seeing bulls just really step in on every drop here. So you drop, bulls step in, you drop, bulls step in. So if we can just get a higher high here, where bulls, if we get one of these candles, I think Microsoft can start heading back towards the 630s. But for now, you just got to pay attention to key levels 60, well not 6, 509.1. 512.6, and then your 21 MA, what you want to see here is a break and retest above this area right here at around 513.5 for you to start looking at moves towards 520s. Highest I'm looking at is about 530 when it comes to Microsoft. Now, if you manage to break below 504 on Microsoft, then you are pretty illiquid towards 497. You give up 497, then you're heading towards the low 490s. more or less. So that's what I'm looking at for Microsoft. Nothing too crazy here. I was liking the setup. You had a potential double bottom here, but we just could not. Triple Q's SPY. The market was just really holding this thing back. It really tried. It tried, but look, fortunately we got out to play. We took profit on it. Apple, so when it comes to Apple, right now you are trading below this trend line here, but you are holding the 21 MA on the daily time frame. So we zoom out, we see that Apple has a bounce here. You can even extend this further back and see there's a bounce here as well. But you have a bounce here, right? And we're looking for some type of bounce here off the 21 MA. When you go to the 4-hour time frame, you are slightly below the key level of 268.1 and you're below the trend line. So right now, I'm not seeing anything as far as anything lower than 665, 265. What am I saying? 265, sorry. So 265, if we manage to get below 265, then you're pretty liquid towards 260. All right, so you want to be careful with Apple here. I'm not looking to trade calls on Apple because you have a high here, lower high here. You got a lot of wicks up here. You have a lot of bears up here as well. So I believe that if Apple gives up 265, which I do think is very much possible, just considering where it is, you are looking at a move towards 257, if not the low 250s when it comes to Apple. So you really want to be careful here. Amazon. So Amazon, everyone's asking me, well, a few people, not everyone, I over exaggerated there, but people have been asking me, is it a good buy for Amazon here? You're only down 10% from all time highs when it comes to Amazon. Now, I would say that I would look to dollar cost average a light position here when it comes to Amazon. Right now, what I'm looking for is a 30% drop here. So I'm looking at around between 210 to 20 when it comes to Amazon, 20 to 30% drop, I should say. 210, 220 is somewhere around there, 210, 217, somewhere around this area down here, right where these guys are. If we're looking to go lower, which it will be great, then I'll be looking at 190. This gap fill at around 194. This will be like the perfect buying opportunity. Lowest I'm looking at is 180, which will I'm going heavy in. If Amazon sees 180, I'm going absolutely heavy in that. So we'll see. But right now, you guys know my rule: 20, 30% drop or 20, 30% discount is where I look to invest into these names right now. Amazon is like what, 10% or more or less from previous highs. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get another drop. But if it doesn't happen, it is what it is. I'm already invested into Amazon. But hopefully we get Discord members in on that. And so did we go over? So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have for this video, guys. When it comes to Bitcoin, right now, Bitcoin is very overextended on the daily time frame. So it's very much possible that we see a bounce soon. I don't know if it's going to be a dead cat bounce. I don't know if it's going to be a trap or anything like that. But as long as you stay below 92K, you open up the doors towards 88K, 84K. So you definitely want to see Bitcoin you want to see bulls step in here. You go to the weekly time frame, and so far you're trading below this rising wedge pattern. It's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. So if we're going to continue towards the downside, watch Bitcoin head further towards the 80K range. That's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have for this video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think we're going to see a recovery towards the upside? Do you think Nvidia is going to save the day? Nvidia earnings, to be exact. Do you think Nvidia earnings is going to save the stock market? You know, are they going to have good guidance? We know they're going to be earnings. Like, come on, they're going to be earnings. Okay, it would be devastating if they don't be earnings, right? But I believe they're going to be earnings. But we're more focused on their guidance, right? We want to see what their guidance is like, and I believe if they guide good and they show that they're still spending on AI, if not more spending on AI, then the other big companies, they're going to see this and they're going to be like, oh, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to panic about, and then you're just going to see money start flowing back into the market. That's my personal belief. I could be wrong. You know, I can't see the future. I can't see everything. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong there. But that's what I'm looking at. That's my thoughts. And so you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And until the next video, traders, have a good one.